on because it's going to be amazing. I'm kidding. Anyway, okay, a couple things. I want you to think about something. Can everybody see this whiteboard here? Okay. I want you to think about something. This is an oversimplification, but it's a pretty useful one. I want you to think about the hips. If you're looking from the side, actually I'm going to draw this really big. Let's give you guys something to look at here. If you're looking at the side of somebody's hips, I want you to think about them like an upside down triangle. I'll explain this in a second here, but I want you to think about the femurs here, it comes down here, the knees here, and there's a foot there. Okay, does that make sense? We're looking at the side of somebody's hip. Okay. The triangulation is important because we're going to later find out that there's lots of triangulation in the body. Because you triangulate things that are tall that you're trying to stabilize. But. A couple things I want you to think about. First, let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. This is going to be the front. This is going to be the anterior. Okay? We're going to make this the posterior, which by the way means this is kind of your butt back here. Anyway, I want you to recognize some stuff. When triangles tip, it's very hard to discuss which way they tip towards. So an anterior tilt means the anterior goes forward. Wow, that was a really good arrow. Means the anterior goes forward. When the anterior goes forward, though, the posterior goes back. Can we see that? So I haven't even gotten the muscles yet. This is why it's very confusing, because somebody comes in looking like this. Let me turn this down a tiny bit so you guys can see my rump. Just what you wanted to wake up to, huh? So this is an anterior tilt, but it looks like you should call it a posterior tilt, because when the top goes forward, the bottom goes down. This is actually a posterior tilt. Because when the top goes forward, the bottom comes under. So we choose to talk about hips from what happens up here. We just made that choice because we had to do something because opposites actually happen. Anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Okay? Cool. Does that make sense? Just the tilting concept.
Will you show that one more time? Which one?
Yeah. Let me show it to you in a different. Let me show it to you in a different way, Miss Petrie. I'm glad you asked. All right. This is a circle. Can we see that? If I turn the circle to the left, can you see that the top of the circle will go that way, but the bottom of the circle will go that way? If I'm steering a car and I turn to the right, my right hand goes to the right, but my left hand goes to the left. So how do I talk about which way to turn a wheel? How do I talk about which way to tilt a hip? I pick a spot. We decided as anatomy people, not me, we're going to talk about the top, not the bottom. When the top goes forward, we call it an anterior tilt, even though the bottom goes back. When the top goes back, we call it a posterior tilt, even though the bottom goes forward. So we just picked this spot and said that's what we're going to use on this thing because it does both. Does that make sense? Does it? It's okay if it doesn't. I'm glad you're asking the questions. But the problem is, when I've got something like this, this is going forward, but this is actually going back, or vice versa. So we just said, hey, let's just talk about the top. Forget about what happens to the bottom. Forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. So we're just going to talk about the top. It's just a way to talk about stuff that moves in two different directions because it's kind of a wheel or a triangle. Okay, so anterior tilt means the top of my hip is pointing, going forward towards my toes. Yeah. So, what happens in an anterior tilt is the triangle goes like this. It tilts forward, right? Now, don't even worry what the muscles are called yet. There's muscles that hook up here, right? They kind of go down here. And there's muscles that hook back here. Let me do those. Hold on. Let me change colors here. There's muscles in front that kind of hook on up here. There's muscles in back that kind of hook on back here. Yeah? In order to have an anterior tilt, what muscles need to get shorter and contract? The ones in front or in back?
Front.
Wait, hold on. So we said what?
The ones in front?
The ones in front. You're exactly right. These, this is how we show this, have to get shorter. Look, let me just take my shirt and create an anterior tilt. Pull my shirt down. That's an anterior tilt. Because, remember, you have to be in front to pull in front. I can't pull this triangle down unless I'm here pulling it down. That's how they got this. This muscle here got significantly shorter. Which means, which muscles have to get longer or be weak in an anterior tilt?
The ones in the back?
Yeah. The ones in back actually have to get longer or be weak. So this is the entire, well, I shouldn't say that. That's not fair at all. That's not even close to fair. I tend to exaggerate to make points. This is a main premise of physical therapy. You would literally stretch these to get them long again and strengthen these. You'd literally, with an anterior tilt, if you were a physical therapist, stretch the muscles in front to get them long again, stretch these, and strengthen the ones in back, tilt and pull them back. And that's just a basic physical therapy kind of thing. And it can be a basic massage therapy thing too. So massage therapists, this is getting to Miss Monreal's question. She said, what muscles would cause an anterior tilt? Would they be the muscles in front or in back?
In front.
In front. All day long in front. You can't pull a hip in front from in back. That just doesn't happen. Right? If I want to get the skeleton to come towards me, I've got to be on this side pulling it. Muscles don't push. I can't do this. That has to do with levers in my body. My point is I've got to be on the side that's it's going towards. So we would look at anterior hip flexors for an anterior tilt. Right? So, let's name a few. Who can tell me the only quad, actually let me ask this question first. Miss Harper, what are the 4 quad muscles?
The 4 quads, the vastus.
Mm-hmm.
Vastus. I don't know. Okay. The rectus femoris, the vastus lateralis, the vastus medialis, and the vastus intermedius.
Yep. Now really quickly, everybody. Vastus medialis, vastus lateralis, and vastus intermedius don't cross the hip joint. They hook onto the thigh and go across the knee. They help you kick out your knee. The rectus femoris, does it cross over the hip joint? Yes, it does. It inserts into something that I quizzed you all on yesterday, which is the anterior, inferior iliac spine. Not the superior, but the inferior. Doesn't matter that much. The fact is it hooks on the front of the hip. It hooks on this bump right down here. Yeah? So, rectus femoris is kind of this muscle right here. So, rec fem. I don't have enough room to write anything else. Rectus femoris is definitely a culprit. It's an anterior hip tilter. And it's definitely a culprit. So, by the way, I'm going to talk about this kind of all the muscles, and then I'm going to simplify it back down again. Rectus femoris. Do we have anything else that hooks to the front of the hip that could be a hip flexor? Anybody? Just think about stuff that hooks to the front of the hip, period.
Your psoas major?
No? Actually, you're absolutely right. Your iliacus and your psoas major. Those are inside your body.
Yeah.
They're in here, but they kind of hook like this. So that's we call it your iliopsoas. It's two muscles that we call together. Iliopsoas, but it's your iliacus and your psoas major. Yes, huge. And I showed you a video how to stretch those because you can't really reach in here inside people's hips very easily. It can be done, but it's not pleasant. So rectus femoris, iliopsoas. Those are great, by the way. Iliopsoas is probably one of the most important. Anything else? Crosses over the hip joint, gets down to the thigh. If it hooks the hip and the thigh, or the hip and the lower leg together, it could be a hip. If it's in front, it could be a hip flexor. Anything else?
Your adductors? The brevis?
You're right. Some of your adductors, you're right, are kind of in front and are in the position of being a little bit of a hip flexor. And so it's true, some of your adductors, that's not, by the way, it's a 100% correct answer. It's just not a very obvious answer. But you're right, not all your adductors, not the ones that are kind of more in back, like the adductor magnus, but the ones in front, like the brevis and pectineus. They can pull in front a little bit. So you're right, there's some stuff deep inside here too, right? I like that. So let's say some adductors. Yeah. Anything else? Is there a... yeah.
Your sartorius.
Thank you, Miss Giannis. Don't make that face, you're right. Your sartorius. Yeah. Anything else? Would any gluteal muscles also be hip flexors? Anterior hip flexors.
Is the medius or
Your minor?
minimus?
Yeah, gluteus minimus for sure. Gluteus medius probably too. The front fibers of it. So, because those, believe it or not, actually do exactly that. They're right in here. So, I'm going to put glute min. It's actually glute min and med. It's glute minimus and medius, but I'm just going to put glute min because it's in front. It's very easy to kind of remember that. And there's one more muscle we have not learned about that could be a hip flexor. Anterior hip flexor, yeah. And its abbreviation is TFL. Anybody know what the TFL is?
Tensor fascia lata.
Yeah! Tensor fascia lata actually hooks into your IT band, but it can actually be a front hip flexor because it's a little bit in front. A little bit in front. So, that's a lot of names, right? And you should know them. I don't mean yet. I want you to learn them. I don't want you to just take the shortcut, but I'm going to tell you a shortcut anyway. Because if you forget everything 5 years from now, I want you to remember the shortcut at least, yeah? So, let's get Mr. Skeleton back here. And I'm gonna, let's see if I can pin this down a little bit. There we go. All right. Okay. So, can we see the skeleton? So, very simply, overly simply put, I would definitely rub the front of the legs, right? All the way up until I hit this bone. The as is, the anterior superior iliac spine, because I'm trying to get the rectus femoris. I'm trying to get the sartorius. The sartorius actually does attach to the anterior superior iliac spine. So I would rub the front of the leg, yeah? I would rub the inner thigh because I'm trying to get, especially up in here, I'm trying to get the pectineus and the adductor brevis, things like that, yeah? For sure. And then this part gets trickier, but it's super duper important. I would actually rub the hips right below the crest of the ilium, right here. This is where your glute minimus is. And believe it or not, an arm fits in there really well. So I wouldn't elbow it, but I'd forearm it. And I'm talking about this spot right here. Right here, a forearm fits right there. It doesn't feel invasive, and you can really, it's right where the hip bends. And you're right in this spot here, and you're hitting the gluteus minimus and medius right in there, and tensor fasciae lata. By the way, because it actually goes gluteus maximus, medius, minimus, tensor fasciae lata. Max, med, min, tensor fasciae lata. So when I put an arm right here underneath the crest of the ilium, I'm loosening all those up. Now that gets almost all the muscles we talked about except for the iliopsoas. So let's talk a little bit more about that. And we need tape for this. Good question, Ms. Monreal. Good question. All right.
Thank you. I was asking for a friend, not for myself. Haha, just kidding. It's me. No, but from years and years of going to chiropractors, they've always just kind of like tried to push my sacrum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there was such a tilt in it.
Yeah.
But my mind is blown now because I'm like, of course, I've been thinking ever since I've been in class, okay, but what is the root cause and how do I fix it?
Yeah, this is why I think massage and chiropractics go together so well. Chiropractics are like, well, let's get these bones back in place that are, you know, kind of being thrown out because of the anterior tilt. But that doesn't necessarily fix the anterior tilt. So
yeah, the muscles keep pulling it.
Muscles keep pulling out. And granted, the bones being out might be pinching on nerves that make the muscles tight, so the two go together very well. But one without the other, this is the problem with all professions when they start to think that their entire profession fixes everything. And I mean no disrespect to chiropractors, but some chiropractors think all you need is chiropractics. And by the way, some massage therapists think all you need is massage, and we're both wrong.
Right.
Right? So, let's look at the iliopsoas stretch, though, that I love so much, and why it works, and why you have to be careful about certain things. Okay. Your iliopsoas. Wow, I think I might be able to do this. Hold on. Let's try this. I hope you can see this. Your iliopsoas essentially does this. This is actually a pretty good representation. All right. This is your psoas major. This is your iliacus. And they attached your leg, and if they contract, your leg comes up. Or if they contract, your hip comes down, which is an anterior tilt. So we want to stretch these out. Okay? But don't forget that we've also got this muscle here called your rectus femoris. And it actually goes all the way down across your left knee here. This is a concept that's very hard for people to get, but it really helps with this stretch. If I push this leg back, if I push this leg, the thigh back, I'm stretching the iliopsoas. But if I bend the knee too much, stop. If I bend the knee too much, what happens is I end up stretching the rectus femoris first, and I never get to stretch. In fact, look, this is tight right now, and this is loose, because I bent the knee. If I unbend the knee, this is loose, and now I can stretch this thing. And this is all because the rectus femoris goes across two joints. So if I bend the knee down here, I make it so tight that it's a great rectus femoris stretch when I bring the thigh back, but I never get to stretch out the iliopsoas, and that's my real goal. So I like to keep the knee not too bent and bring this whole leg back. And this whole leg back is the opposite of what this does, and that's a great iliopsoas stretch. So I actually do this kind of stretch where I just push your bottom into the table and bring your leg back. And that stretches your iliopsoas out. If I bend your knee, that's fine, but I'm doing a rectus femoris stretch, which is also a hip flexor. I just want you to know the difference so you make sure to stretch both. Does that kind of make sense? It's a lot to think about. That's kinesiology, by the way. That's why we study what we study.
It does make sense, so thank you. You did answer my question.
Good. We're off to a good start, Miss Monreal. And do you have any other questions, Miss Monreal? Meaning of life? Anything?
That's it for right now.
Okay.
I'll come up with something later.
I love it. All right. So, if you forgot all of this, which would break my heart, but it could happen. If you forgot all of this, if somebody has an anterior tilt, rub the front of their thigh. If somebody has a posterior tilt, guess what part of their thigh you rub? Thank you. I saw somebody mouth it. I appreciate that. You rub the back of their thigh. Because what's the stuff in back that can cause a posterior tilt of my hips? What's the stuff that hooks underneath my hips here, grabs on to the ischial tuberosities back here, these big handles? What could actually pull the hips back there?
Hamstrings?
Hamstrings. Which hamstrings, Miss Monreal?
Ah, shoot.
That's not a hamstring.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Bicep femoris. The long head? Is it the long head?
Bicep femoris, long head, yes. Thank you, by the way, for getting so specific. Why would the short head not cause a posterior tilt?
Because that attaches to, like, the femur.
Yes, it goes across the knee, not across the hip, and you're actually right. It attaches to the femur and the lower leg, femur and tibia, but not the hip. It doesn't matter, by the way. You'd accidentally rub it anyway, and we don't care, but it's just good that you know. So, biceps femoris, long head, excellent, 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 and what else? Anything else?
Well, would the other, like the tendinosis ones, they attach there also, don't they?
They attach where?
At the, what is it, the...
Ischial tuberosity?
Ischial, yeah.
Tuberosity of the hip? Yes, they do. So really the answer is like all the hamstrings, but only one head of the biceps femoris, yeah. Good.
Okay.
And they really are in back, pulling my hips back. Now they can also pull my leg up like, you know, like this, but they can also pull my hips back. Yeah, very good. So those are main culprits of a posterior tilt.
So, can I just like note to everybody, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But you know how you were showing us that you were like hunched over in a sense to show the anterior tilt?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, nobody really walks around like that, so our body pushes us back, right?
Well,
And then, so we have a little bit more of the sway in the low back. So for like people like me who do have a big booty, it pops out even more because of the curvature, and which actually is very painful. So I just bring that up because like you really don't see people way hunched over like that. Your body wants to throw you back. Am I wrong?
you couldn't be more right, Miss Monreal.
Okay.
I sometimes think I pay you to say this stuff. I would pay you to say this stuff. So let me elaborate on what Miss Monreal said, but what she said is 100% right, and it's honestly where we're heading with all this, right? We could probably all graduate tomorrow if we kind of get this concept. So, for one thing, I am exaggerating so you guys see stuff. Nobody is this anterior tilted. Nobody. Really, when they come to you, they're kind of like that. You really have to look kind of carefully and kind of be like, oh, that's kind of weird. You know? And then Ms. Monreal said something very interesting. She implied that their body attempts to compensate for the poor posture, and she's 100% correct. And it does it unconsciously. My body is trying to conserve energy. It's trying to stand in as comfortable a position as it can without me even thinking about it. And it's got some things to contend with. So let's look at the hips here again. By the way, I've been oversimplifying. All hips are slightly anterior tilted. They're supposed to be. That's how you're made. But it's just supposed to be slight. It's kind of like this. No, that's too much. This bone around. Okay. So, I want you to think about something. Let's look at our hips again. Okay. I made this a very short leg because I'm going to do some stuff under. That, all hips are slightly anteriorly tilted. It's just the way they're designed. It's fine. Okay. But here's the interesting part. Then I've got lumbar curve, thoracic curve, cervical curve, and a head on top. Yeah. Let me open this up just a little bit so you can see the head on top. I know that head is way out of proportion. I ran out of room and I wanted to show you the curves. I'm sorry. This head on top weighs, when you come into class today, grab one of these. It weighs 8 to 10 pounds. Okay? Now, I could probably stand the entire lecture and hold this like this. Right? But I don't think I could stand the entire lecture and hold it like this. And this would even be worse. Try it when you come into class. You stand here and you're like, yeah, I can do that all day long. This is actually a little trickier. You're like, I might be able to do that 30 minutes. Maybe less. Because this 8 pounds, believe it or not, the way physics works is about 24 pounds out here. The lever is starting to work against you. And out here, and we can all see that if I had to do this, it'd be terrible, right? I just wouldn't be able to do it that long. Well, your head is the same way. This is about 8 to 10 pounds, right? That, all of a sudden, is about 24 pounds. My body doesn't like that. It wants to get this back over my hips. So, when hips tilt more, think about this. We're going to really exaggerate this just to make a point. But when hips tilt more, oh man, sheesh. It's a good thing I'm not in graphic design or something. When hips tilt more, my body does not want to have my head out here. So what does it do? It can't fix this problem down here. Because we've got short muscles down there, we didn't get our massage. It can't fix that problem. What does it do? It exaggerates that curve in the low back. And if you exaggerate the curve in the low back, believe it or not, you have to exaggerate this curve. And if you exaggerate this curve, you have to exaggerate this curve. But what does it do? It gets your head back over your hips. So, it's hard to see, unfortunately, because I'm kind of round. But if you kind of get an idea of where my curves are, they get really, watch my neck even. It gets really exaggerated if I anterior tilt. Because I've got to get my head back there. Because I can't go walking around like this. In fact, I almost fall over. I can't do this all day. So my body exaggerates the curves in an anterior tilt. So a really common complaint, not always, a really common complaint that's funny, and most massage, I'll call on you just 1 second, Ms. Torres, that most massage therapists don't get, is somebody comes in and they complain of their neck hurting. They come in, I'm exaggerating, but they come in, they're like, my neck's really been killing me, and people work it, and it's okay for a little while, but it comes right back like a day or so later. Yeah, the neck's not the problem. The neck is a symptom. The problem is probably an anterior tilt. So you work on their neck, but you also work on their thighs, and you stretch them out here so they can stand up straighter, and all of a sudden they're like, gosh, I don't understand why, but when I go to Ms. Torres and I get a massage, I feel good for 2 weeks afterwards. I go to Joe Schmo, and they work my neck. It seems like just as good, but my neck only feels good for a day or so afterwards. It's because Ms. Torres worked on the tilt that was causing the problem. because she got them back to a normal tilt, which means the body didn't have to do all this crazy stuff, and it could go back to normal curves, not these exaggerated curves. You want some curve, by the way. There's all sorts of reasons why you want some curve. Yeah. Ms. Torres, what was your question or comment?
Okay, so let's say, I don't know if this is possible, it might be a stupid question, but what about if you are tight from your back and front?
It's not. I don't think it was a question, but it definitely wasn't a stupid comment. Do you mean just, have you noticed that in people?
Yes, well, I mean, people, yeah, but you know, usually, so my question pretty much is, if your hip flexors are tight, then you're gonna do like, you're gonna have an anterior tilt, right? But what about if your hip extensions are tight too?
Well, two ways to answer that question. Let me answer the simple part, and then I'll answer the more complex part. The simple part, I don't think you were asking about, but just follow along for a second. If my hip extenders, my hamstrings, if my hamstrings are tight, I start to get a posterior tilt, and just so we all know, as this tilts posteriorly, my curves go away. Exaggerated again, but my curves go away because in order to get my head up above my body, I need to take away curves. So curves, if I posterior tilt, curves go away. I'm military here. Boom. Curves go away, and you actually want gentle curves in your body. There's the right amount of curve. So posterior tilt's not great either. You lose curves, and that's from tight hamstrings. But I think what Ms. Torres is talking about is, what happens when you have them on both sides, and you usually do. And here's why. I want you to think about this. Forget about hips for a second. We're going to come back to them in just a second. We're going to answer Ms. Torres' question. This is to get a concept that's so incredibly important and powerful and so very simple that we miss it. Most massage therapists miss it. Have you felt people's shoulders when they're tight? You felt them and they're kind of like rocks? Anybody felt shoulders like that? I hope you've all felt shoulders like that. Okay. How do I ask this question? What makes a single muscle, I don't care which muscle, whatever, what makes it feel tight? What's going on in the muscle? Like just that muscle? I see.
Tightness, a knot.
A knot? Sure. What is a knot?
Is it a shortened muscle?
Yeah, what's another word for, you're absolutely right, Miss Hanson. What's another word for a shortened muscle?
A contracted muscle?
Yes. Yeah, is that what you're going to say, Miss Petrie? Kind of saw it. Yes, think about it. Look at my bicep right now. I mean, well, it's stretched in this position, but here, let's put it, here we go. Look how soft it is, right? Contracted. I'm not even going any shorter. I'm just contracting. Now it's hard. When you feel tight muscles, somebody's shoulders, they are contracting. They are shortened. They are pulling. Okay?
So even if they're laying down and they're still tight, it's still in a contraction or what?
Yes. And if you think about it, nobody lying on a flat surface should be contracting anything.
Right.
I mean, there are some internal muscles you contract. I'm not trying to be weird, but there's some sphincter muscles you keep contract all the time. But basically, and a bodybuilder basically should be on the table, and they could be ripped and muscular, and they should be jiggly. Jiggly,
So
if they're loose.
If they're not jiggly,
They are contracted.
obviously that's okay. So how do you get it to uncontract?
Well, hold on. We still have to circle back to Mrs. Torres' thing, and we're not quite even there yet. So, when a muscle is contracting, it is doing the one thing that muscles can do, and what's that? Pull.
Pull.
Pull, right? All right. So, Miss Giannis. Sorry, Miss Giannis, calling you out. What is the main action of the upper trapezius if they work together?
Isn't it to elevate your shoulders?
Thank you. Thank you. That's 100% correct. It's exactly what I wanted. It's just very hard to answer questions like that when we weren't even talking about traps. Excellent. They contract and they shorten, and my shoulders do this, right? So if people came into me and their shoulders were tight and I saw this all the time, I'd be like, well, that makes sense. But they don't come in like this all the time. Sometimes they come in exactly like I look right now, and you feel their shoulders and you're like, oh my God, they're contracted. So why aren't they up here like this? Yes, Miss Monreal. Miss Monreal?
I'm sorry, are the lower fibers pulling them down?
Yeah, something is. Very likely the lower fibers, the traps, right? And that's happening because the body actually attempts to stay in good posture. Now that's not a crazy idea, by the way. You guys don't think about how you walk across a room, do you? Because in order for you to walk, you are honestly contracting and releasing 100 muscles every second. And you're firing off not even all the fibers from those muscles, right? Remember, your brain has an all or none fiber thing. It's not using all of its quads. It's using pieces of the quads and pieces of the hamstrings and pieces of the adductors and pieces of the gluteus medius and minimus so you don't fall over. And it's using all these little flexors in your feet and your toes, and your calves are kicking in, and you're balancing yourself. And you're doing all this. You're doing all this while you're walking, and that's handled subconsciously for you. Brains take over repeated actions subconsciously for you, so that then when you're a kid, when you were a kid, you were walking. That's why kids look so cute, little babies. They're trying to figure it out. But after a while, they figure it out, and their brain takes over, and they just say, I want to walk over here, and they do, and now I can chew gum and walk. Right? So my brain also subconsciously takes over posture for me. Right? And so when it senses that I'm doing this, it does attempt to correct it. And so back to Mrs. Torres's question, when I anteriorly tilt, my body does try to correct that and posteriorly tilt me. And how does it do it? It fires off the hamstrings. And so, do you remember when we talked about tug-of-wars with the scapula? Right? The middle scaps and rhomboids can argue with what in front? The middle scaps and rhomboids that retract or adduct your scapula can argue with what that can protract or abduct your scapula.
Anterior.
Serratus anterior, yes, and?
Pec minor?
Pec minor! Because it grabs on the scapula. Thank you for not saying pec major. Pec minor. Yeah, so this is the same thing. If your hip flexors get tight, quite often your hip extenders get tight too, right? Because they're just trying to balance that out. So it's very common to see people tight on both sides, right? And this is not such a strange fact, if you think about it. It's not such a strange fact. We do this in our own lives when something gets out of balance, right? It gets too far over here and we have to do something else to balance it out over here, and sometimes that creates even more tension. Yes, Ms. Giannis?
So with people who have like scoliosis and stuff, doesn't that throw off their pelvic tilt too?
Yeah.
So are their muscles just continuously tight then because it's their spine?
Yeah. Scoliosis is usually, right, something they're kind of born with. And remember, there are two different types of curves. We all have curves front and back. So if you're looking at me from the side, my neck should curve in, my shoulders should curve out, my low back should curve in, my bottom should curve out. We're supposed to do this from the side. But we all have a straight spine from the front. Scoliosis is not that. Scoliosis is a lateral curve, right? So scoliosis causes tightness on the sides. And Ms. Giannis is what you see almost every time. I mean, if you ever get somebody with scoliosis, check it out because this is right almost every time. So their heads here, I'm looking at them from the back here, and I'm exaggerating, but let's say their scoliosis looks like that, right? Well, they tend to be tight here. Oh, sorry, I'm not drawing this right. But they tend to be, that's how we show it. They tend to be tight here, but loose here. They tend to be loose here, but tight here. They tend to be tight here, but loose here. It tends to be opposite on each side. And that's because, like, the curve's going out this side, so this side's trying to pull it over. It doesn't need any help over here. And then this bottom curve's going out this side, so it tries to pull over. So you'll actually rub down their back, and you'll be like tight and loose, tight and loose. It goes back and forth. They are laterally not even. Whereas most people, like you rub my back, it's tight. It's tight on both sides. It's tight on both sides. My back is straight this way. It's tight on both sides because of anterior tilt, probably because of extra weight I'm carrying around, who knows. But scoliosis, you tend to see this very uneven tightness. And it's them trying to balance out the fact that this is a very hard thing to navigate. Like, this is not a good design for a back. Yeah. Okay. By the way, with all this stuff, just a caution to remind you that you will notice some of this stuff in clients. Tone down anything you tell a client because people are very body conscious. So I'm never like, oh my God, your anterior tilt is unbelievable. I have never seen anything like this. You're kind of telling them they're deformed, right? I'm always like, oh yeah, we got a little mild anterior tilt. That'll probably help your neck problem. And they're like, oh, why? I'm like, oh, it exaggerates the curves in your back. Everything's mild. Oh, I see it all the time. Boom. Your scoliosis is never crazy unless you've told me it's crazy. Like everything is just, I mean, we're all human. You got a little mild tilt here. You got a mild thing here. Nothing's a big deal because it hurts people's feelings quite often, right? We're all fascinated. We're like, that's kind of cool, but they don't think it's cool. You might tell them about it, but I just, you know, these are normal, mild little adjustments kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Were there any more questions? That was a lot of stuff.
Can we go to the question about how we loosen up tight muscles and bodybuilding? Or they're not even necessarily.
Hold on. No. You just cut out a little bit. You said, can we go over Miss Monreal's something about muscles something? I just missed the whole thing.
Oh, about question. Oh, sorry. Her question regarding how to loosen up muscles on, per se, someone who has a lot of muscle, like a bodybuilder.
Rub harder, rub longer, and stretch them. I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but I mean, bodybuilders are no different than anybody else, and so you might have deeper layers to go through, but you'd stretch them and massage them just like anybody else. That's why we learn deep tissue techniques, so you can get in there deeper. But there's not something particular about bodybuilding, in my opinion. There's more muscle.
I have practiced on someone who has a lot of muscle,
yeah,
and it's a lot harder to massage than someone without.
Oh, yes. Extra tissue of any kind makes challenges. Extra adipose tissue, extra muscular tissue makes challenges. Also, somebody with almost no muscle and no adipose tissue is challenging too, because then you're trying to navigate around the bones. But you're talking about just thickness. And thickness is hard. That's why we really emphasize like deep in this class, so that when you get a really big guy, it's usually a guy, that you've got techniques with your forearms and elbows so that you can get in there. Because you can't do it with these anymore. Like when I do my regular massage, by the way, I start out on your back essentially. I do a couple strokes down your back, and I go, based on what I've done so far, this is 3 minutes in the massage. Based on what I've done so far, do you want more or less pressure? You go, oh, I want more. Okay. I go deeper. Based on what I've done so far, do you want more or less pressure? Oh, I want more. Bam. I'm already switching to my elbows. I've already maxed out my hands. And they're pretty strong. But I've already maxed them out. I'm going to use these for your neck, stuff around your feet, some nice finishing strokes. But we're We're going to be doing most of the massage with this because now you've just told me you need all this pressure and I want to give it to you and I also want to blow out my hands. So I'm making that decision really quick, and somebody like that, Miss Hunter, it's going to be forearms and hands and knees. It's a street fight. You bite them, gouge them, poke them, get implements. Yeah, you go. And they love it. By the way, they love it because they've never had anybody get in there deep for them. They love it.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know it wasn't super helpful, but practice using elbows and forearms and fists. And be very grateful, everybody. We usually don't like it when we get a challenging client because we're like, oh my God, but these people will make you really good at massage. I just saw Miss Petrie go, yeah. I've gotten so many clients, like I used to work on a chef who was 450 to 475 pounds. Try finding stuff in the body when you're going through that much tissue. It was a nightmare, but it made me a better therapist. Because then I would work on somebody else who was 250 pounds or 200 pounds or 150 pounds. It was easy because I'd already found stuff through all these layers of things like that. I'd learned new techniques to kind of work with that. Working on a linebacker, a professional football player, huge. You're like, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? But did it make me better at deep tissue? Yes, because all my other techniques didn't work at all. At all. Like, if you try to do your Swedish massage stuff on somebody like that, you'll never see him again. So what do? You can't call up Tapscott. You're in the room alone. Miss Petrie will say this. There's so many times you're in the room alone, you're like, I've never done this before. It's not that school didn't prepare you. It's just there's too many things that happen in life, and you're like, okay. I mean, I've seen students do really clever stuff. Like a big guy comes in, if gets on the table, they get on top of a chair, the student does, so they can get down on They figure it out. Those are the clients that make you the best. They figure it out. So those are the best clients. The ones that are really unusual.
So the ones that are more heavy set or have a lot of adipose, like, should they have like a longer massage? I mean, like, is it like, can you still do the massage in an hour or what? How do you do this?
Yeah, I have a hard time doing any massage on anybody in an hour. So I don't like to, I mean, one of my pet peeves actually about doing massage at any place, a spa, Massage Envy, Elements, any place, is the time limit. It drives me nuts because I spend a lot of my time making sure that I hit 60 minutes. And so I get the things that I'd like to spend more time on and I skip them, right? And I get to stuff, I get towards the end sometimes and have extra time left over and end up working longer on something than I normally would have. Not the end of the world, but still. But also just to think about it, why do we work on bodies for an hour? It's because we tell time by the hour. If you lived on a different planet and hours were 98 minutes, you'd do 98-minute massages. That's just what you would do. So the hour is arbitrary. I think 90 minutes to 2 hours is a good standard time for massage. I am always pushing my clients for longer massages. For lots of reasons, everybody. One is more money. More money, right? They're already on my table. There's a reason that when you walk into 7-Eleven and you get the 32-ounce Thirst Buster for like $4, but they're like, you can have the 5-gallon Thirst Buster for $4.05, and you're like, what? It's because the stuff inside it doesn't cost them anything, and they've already got you there. They want to get another nickel out of you. So I like them in there for longer. I get more money that way. I save time. Every client that gets off my table, it takes me at least 15 minutes to get back on another client. Right? And that's at a spa or a Massage Envy or something. At your house, good luck. It'd probably take you an hour before you get another client on there. You're not getting paid for that hour. So I want them to stay on the table, right? That saves me time. If I have 6 clients come in for 1-hour massages, I lose an hour and a half just in changeover time. That's an extra hour and a half I have to be around. And people are like, well, you can rest during that time. You don't rest during that time. You run around and think I'm tired from the last massage I did. There's no rest. Like, it doesn't help to take a break from your massage, trust me. So I save time. I save laundry. I hope I spelled that right. Laundry. I they're already getting my sheets dirty. Why would I get another person on there? They're already dirty. Yeah. Here's the other thing. It makes me look better. Right? They went to Miss Petrie, and she did an hour. And actually, Miss Petrie's a better massage therapist than me. But I talked them into a 90-minute. Whose massage do you think they think is better? Mine. Mine. Even though Miss Petrie is a better therapist, they got 30 extra minutes with me, and I used that 30 extra minutes, and they walked out, they're like, man, I feel great. They spent more money, they know it's more time, but they still compare us, and they can't compare us and take out the time factor. They can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. And so they perceive the longer massage is better. I made more money, I saved laundry, I saved time, right? They think I'm better, so they want to come back to me. I see less clients, right? Massage is a little bit like speed dating. Even when you know the person, it's like, well, hello again, how are you doing? How are the kids? Blah, 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 let's get you on the table. I'm already in the room with that person. So let's go longer. So, Ms. Hunter, yes, they need more time, but I think everybody needs more time. But you're absolutely right. Bigger bodies do need more time. And if you can find a gentle way to tell them that, yeah, do. I wouldn't say, well, you're bigger, you need more time. But I'd say, hey, it'd be helpful if we had more time with some of this stuff. You know? I would love to spend more time on there. And I used to have a hockey player. This is my favorite client, so I always mention this. But I used to have a hockey player for the Coyotes who was probably one of my favorite clients of all time, because he did this really cool thing that I had never thought of before he did it with me. I would go to his house, and he paid me $100 an hour. And I'd go to his house, and he said, stop when you want to stop. Don't run up the clock, don't run down the clock, stop when you want to stop. I will pay you for the amount of time. And so I would get to his feet, and he'd say, oh my God, that's amazing. I'd spend a half an hour at his feet. We'd get to his thighs. They were like, oh my gosh, like what you're talking about, Miss Hunter. Oh my, he's a hockey player. They do one-legged squats. They're amazingly huge, amazingly deep work. He's like, oh my God, that's amazing. So we do deep tissue where we'd strip out every single muscle. That's where you kind of like run your elbow down this little thing here. You move over a half an inch, run it down again. You move it over a half an inch, run it. It takes an hour. We'd spend an hour on his thighs. We get to his back, blah, blah, he loved that. We get to his neck, he's like, oh, I just like the neck. I can do a half hour of neck work. I'm not exaggerating even a little bit. 3.5 hours was not an unusual amount of time. I would look up the clock after. I never looked at it during the thing. I never felt rushed, whatever. I'd look at the clock afterwards. If it said 3 hours and 45 minutes, I'd call it 3.5, you know, because he tipped me on top of that. I'd walk out of his house with $400+ bucks, and I'm done for the day. And that's when I realized longer is better, and not being on a time schedule is better too. But longer is better. Always. Was I tired? Yes. But was I really more tired than I would have from doing 4 1-hours than 1 4-hour? Not really. And I didn't have to change my sheets. I didn't have to run around, and I was done. Too mentally, think about it. I was done. Very neat feeling. Yes, Ms. Torres.
Okay, so tell me, how do you upgrade one of your clients for let's say a 90 or a 2-hour? So I'm there, and I'm gonna, like, I'm only here for an hour. Like, that's it. That's all I want.
Are the books okay?
It. I'm those kind of clients.
1 second. I heard the question. Hold on 1 second.
One student has a second edition.
I think it'll be okay.
I mean, it's almost identical, so as long
I
as
told him
she
it was.
just-
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
And the
tell
tests
her
aren't
why.
directly off this.
Okay.
As long as the information is correct,
Then-
I don't think it matters. The other book, it matters.
Okay,
The
so
tests
they're
are
not
off.
like ours where like you had to match word for word. Okay.
No, it's all systematized online. It's so cool. The only one that matters is the other one, because sometimes it says go to the chapter test at the end of the chapter, and if you don't have the 6th edition. But they're golden. All right. Thank you guys for your patience, by the way. Ms. Torres said, how do you upgrade a client? So here's your business class today. I will tell you the most useful promotion I've ever used, and one of the only ones I've ever had a lot of success with, to be honest with you. So we're getting off track here. I totally admit that, but who cares? This is really important.
Sorry, I just wanted to hear the way you do it.
Sorry for asking a massage question about how you make money at massage. Please, Ms. Torres. This is perfect. This is exactly what we should be talking about. I'm assuming everybody wants to leave the class and make money. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I only gave you half the thing. I said book longer massages. I didn't say how to do it. You're absolutely right. Okay. There are two types of approach to retail business to when you're selling something. And that's discounting and value added. Sorry, I'm running really fast. Discounting and value added. Discounting is exactly what it sounds like. It's when you see those stores and they say, hey, 10% off. 10% off your purchase, right? And value added, people do all the time. It's quite different. Value added says nothing off your purchase, but we're throwing something else in for you. We're throwing something else in for you. It's the reason why when you buy a car, they give you a stupid keychain that comes with the car, and you're like, I love this keychain. You're like, well, you paid $25,000 for it. I hope you love it, right? But you're like, I love it. Or, I don't know, you get makeup. Makeup companies do this all the time, right? If you buy the whatever makeup thing, you get the makeup bag with the extra lipstick. There's no discount. It was value added, right? Here's the benefit to value added over discounting. I hate discounting. I hate discounting because it doesn't work very well. 10% off a $100 massage makes it $90. Do you feel extra motivated to get it because you saved 10 bucks? No. Most people say value added doesn't kick in, doesn't really motivate people until it gets close to 50%. 50% off. That's when I'm like, oh, 50% off, that's half off. That clicks in my head, right? So, and by the way, you end up discounting everybody. So you discount the people who are going to pay full price too. So why would I discount people who are already going to pay full price? That makes no sense. So, let's take a simple scenario though. Let's pretend we're talking about a $100 massage. I can discount it, well, I can't discount it 10%. That's just not going to work. That's not going to bring people in my door. Right? They've never come to me before. I want to get them in my door. I've got to discount at least 30%. I would say 50, but let's say 30. I'll be generous. 30%. So, on this 1 hour massage, I'm going to lose $30. Or I could say, all new massage clients get a half an hour free, tacked onto their 1 hour. Still get my $100. Now I worked harder for it, but I still got my $100. And it's kind of like a drug dealer. I just gave you a taste of a 90. Next time that 60 isn't going to feel so good. Oh, I'm sorry, the introductory offer's over now. Now you're 90, but it doesn't cost $150 for your 90. Of course I'll give you a discount. You're one of my favorite clients. How about $130 for your 90? You're already on the table. I love you, right? And I'm willing to do that because I want the extra 30 bucks. It's actually worth it to me. In people's heads, they go, no, I could be making $50 for that half hour. No, you couldn't. Because to get that client off the table, it takes 15 minutes to an hour to get somebody else on the table. So now it's 45 minutes to an hour. So it's worth it to get the 30 bucks. It's worth it to charge less than 150 bucks for a 90 if you're charging 100 for an hour. It's worth it. Charge something less, 140, whatever it takes, whatever. So that's one of the tricks I do to upgrading is I offer introductory specials. This is my favorite introductory special. So, Miss Harper is my regular client. She comes to me every week. Thank you, Miss Harper. Miss Harper's, she's my regular, I love her. So, what I do is any client that she refers to me that actually comes to me for a massage, right, I will tack on a free half hour onto her massage. Now, she can't add up all the half hours. She's got to get a 1 hour massage every time she does it, but she'll get a 90 for the price of a 1 hour. Now, I've done this before. Clients go nuts on it. They go nuts on it. Miss Harper's like, yeah, that's great. I don't want to pay 150 bucks for this thing. 100 bucks was plenty. I'm already pushing it, right? And then, but she's got 13 friends. So she refers them to me. And by the way, you can be the greatest therapist in the world. Don't feel bad. Of those 13, you'll be lucky if 3 stay with you just because. People don't get massage all the time, whatever. But 13, I already made $1,300 off them. Right? Miss Harper got $1,300 13 half hours free, but she had to pay $1,300 to get that. And now that she's run out of friends, she's addicted. She's had 13 90-minute massages. She'll never go back to a 60. So now she's bumped up to 140s. I gained 3 of her friends. I made $2,600. Value added. Value added. That's one of my favorite value added approaches. I always believe in value added. That's one of my favorite ones. I'll give you a free half hour on top of an hour. You got to be very clear about what you mean. You can't stack them all together. You got to buy an hour. I'll put a half hour on it. If you send another friend, boom, and they have to come, I will keep doing that. You can send me 400 friends. That's fine. We can do this forever. That's fine. That's something. Then you can apply this to gift certificates. You can do 2 things with gift certificates. But one thing is you just sell gift certificates around the holidays. So Miss Harper's super sweet. We all know she's super sweet, but she secretly wants to be selfish, right? But she can't be because she's Miss Harper. This is probably pretty accurate because she's a sweetheart, right? But she's got to get Christmas gifts for all her damn friends, right? So she buys $1,000 worth of gift certificates. That's 10 massages. She gives them to people who've never come to see me. So Miss Harper secretly gets 10 half hours on her next massages. Her friends think she's giving them $100 massages, and she has, but they don't know that she's secretly being selfish, and she's getting back some of that time on her massages later. Very clever. So she buys a whole bunch of gift certificates. And of course, I've got a Square app on my phone, which actually allows me to run her credit card. So when Miss Harper's done with her 90-minute massage, her endorphins are flowing. Oh my gosh, Miss Harper, you look radiant. You always look radiant, but even more so after a massage. Oh, thanks. Okay, so we're going to run your credit card. You know, Christmas is coming up. Oh, yeah. Would that deal apply? Oh, yeah, if you get gift certificates and they come and I've never seen them before, I'll put half hours on your massage for every last one of those gift certificates. Really? We're running your credit card right now. I'm going to put 100 on it. You know what? To hell with it. Put 1,000 on it. Boom. There you go. Here's your gift certificates. Very, very effective, but value added. I gave away nothing. I did give away my time. I totally admit that. But I gave away my time, and every time I give away my time, there's $100 coming in. Every time. Value added is the way to go. I love, love, love that approach. The one other thing that's kind of value added discount that you can do, the one time I'm not against discounting, is the other thing I might do with Miss Harper too, is Miss Harper's super, by the way, I'm teasing Miss Harper, I don't know if this next thing is true about you, but Miss Harper's super sweet, but she's a little cheap. So Christmas is coming up, and I say, Miss Harper, I'm selling gift certificates, and if they go to new clients, not somebody I've already seen, if they go to new clients, I'll sell them to you at half off, because I have a chance getting a new client. Right? So I'll sell our massages for $50. And she's like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, I've got this huge family, right? They're all coming to visit. That's great, or whatever. So she drops $500, but she gets $1,000 worth of massages. They all say $100 on their gift certificate. They say not redeemable for cash. Her friends think she's super generous. She is pretty generous, right? But not super generous. She got them all at half price. I don't owe her any massage for that. But the point is, I get a shot at new clients. So yeah, the clients are all coming in at half off, but I got a chance at landing them and I'm still making $50. And I've done that one too. Very effective. People love that because it looks like they gave somebody a really high dollar gift, but they got it at half off. I bet people have even done this with you, where they got some kind of deal on the side of something else they were doing and they kind of gave it to you. They're like, oh, we got a free room at the Marriott because we did this other thing and here you go. They kind of gave you your value added kind of thing. But anyway, those are my things. So, those are kind of marketing schemes. I really promise Miss Torres was really asking just how do you upgrade them in the room? And the way I upgrade them in the room is I'm not pushy. The way I upgrade them in the room is to say, oh my God, I'd love to spend more time on this area. I've got more time. If you want, we can extend the massage. And I'll even joke, of course I gotta charge you for it, but we can extend the massage. And some people say no. And I don't bring it up after that, but they never get mad. They know what you mean, you know? Or you get to somebody's feet and they say, oh, I love feet. Oh my gosh, I do reflexology. I always do this one. It's true, but I always do it. I go, I have lots of clients that come in and we do an hour massage, but an additional reflexology 30 minutes on their feet. You can do that? They say that all the time. You can do that? Oh, we can do that. Yeah. In fact, you don't even have to pay, 50% more for the massage. We've got a deal right now. It's $130 for 90 minutes, not $150. Oh, maybe I should do that my next time. Do you want to do it this time? You got time? I do. If I've got time, I always do. So I always mention that. Oh, I'd love to spend more time in this area. You realize we could do longer massages. Boy, I really wish I had you for more time. Assuming that's true, by the way. If you hate the client, don't make any of these offers. Occasionally you get a client, you're like, you stick it, maybe you should do half hours. But in general, you're trying to extend stuff. And most people, by the way, want 9-hour massages. It's really all about money for them. And I totally understand. And some people tell you, I can't afford it. I totally understand. Totally understand. Wait till my Christmas special comes, though. You'll be able to afford it. I got a deal for you then. But I'll tell you about it later. Don't worry about it now. And my Christmas special is that thing of like, buy gift certificates. You'll get half hours added onto your massage. Yeah. All that's really good. So I hope, did that answer your question, Ms. Torres?
Yes and no.
What?
So I was talking more. I let you go because it's interesting and it was really good. I didn't want to interrupt all the learning. I love it. Thank you so much. Learned a lot. But my question was, when they're at the table, well, you kind of did at the end. No, never mind. You did. Forget it.
You asked the by the way, Miss Torres is an esthetician. She asked the esthetician question, which is how do you upgrade? Estheticians do this all day long.
Well, I know how to upgrade my clients, and like you say, if I don't like them, then I don't upgrade them.
Right.
But I know how to upgrade my clients. But when you're booked an hour back to back, you can't because you don't have time.
Right.
But if you do it on your own, it's a different thing, or you do it for the next time. I know, I'm good at that. But I wanted to hear it from you, and for a massage, like what words would you use, and at what time, if when they're in the table, before the table, or if it was just for next time, but then next time, I don't know if they want to really,
Yeah. So I feel like massage attracts people that are real sweet and don't like sales. That's not true of all of you, but I bet it's true of some of you, quite a few of you. And myself, I don't actually really like being pushy in that way. It's just not fun for me. One of the things I like about massage, it kind of sells itself. And so, Ms. Torres, you're absolutely right. Usually I don't have time. And so with almost every client, I make the comment of, God, I wish we had more time to work on this. That's it. That's the end of my sales pitch. It's not for today, right? And I do mean it. I wish I had more time to work on this. It's not a lie. I wish I had more time to work on this. And that way, when they're rebooking, hopefully we're already kind of heading in that direction. If I do have more time, that's available because I'm working out of my house or whatever and I'm not booked tight or whatever, I say, gosh, I wish I had more time to work on this. And if they say, so do I, I'd be like, well, I actually do have time today if you want me to extend your massage. I've never had anybody kind of get weird about that, ever. They might say yes or no, but usually they say yes, by the way, if they're kind of going down that path with you. So it's a very simple thing. Just, gosh, I wish I had more time to work on this. Starts a conversation. If they don't want to have that conversation, I'm fine with that. I will tell you one last little trick. We're going to re-mention all this, by the way, when we do business one day. But the last little trick is rebooking clients right after the massage. So when Miss Harper comes out of her massage and she goes to pay for that one, and we're running her card for $100, and by the way, I like charging a lot for my massage so that when I give deals, it sounds like a real deal. I say, hey, Miss Harper, if you pay for your next massage right now and book the date, I don't care if the date's a year from now, but if you pay for it and book it right now, I'll give you a $90 for $100. Really? Yep, let's just run $200 in your card right now. Boom. She'll do it. She'll do it in a heartbeat. She's already shopping out $100. I guarantee you she'll take that deal. Why do I want that? Because if you're a starving therapist and you don't have a full client, by the way, you do less deals once you have full clientele. You don't have to do deals. But in the beginning, Miss Harper is like this right now. Her hair is all messed up. She's all happy. She thinks I'm the greatest therapist in the world. Oh my God. And then she leaves and the kids and the husband, the dog and the parents and all that kind of stuff happens, and she gets stressed again, and she says, I need to get a massage again, and she says that for 6 months before she comes back to me, because that's what most people do. But if she's already paid for the massage and it's already booked, people come back for stuff they're paid for. So it's worth it to me to get the money then, and she's already paid it, so she's in the back of her head now, she's like, I have a free massage that I need to go collect on. So rebooking clients when their endocrine system, hormones and glands, are pumping out endorphins that literally make them feel happy and in love is the good time to charge. Miss Petrie will say it, I know. Remember how people walk out of the massage room? They look at you like, oh, that's why I used to love it, actually. They look at you like, oh, like you're my favorite person in the world. Good, let's rebook. Good, let's do it. Yeah. So that's it. That's all the business knowledge I have, by the way. Really is. I'm not, I'm not that amazing, but that stuff works. And start conversation.
Did you ever ask for money before the massage?
I've never done that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I've just never done it. Except for the situations where I'm talking about where they prepaid on purpose. But no, I've never done it. I do know some massage therapists that hold down appointments with money. They're like, if they're really popular.
That's the thing now.
Yeah.
That's the thing now. They start doing that even with like to do your hair or things like that. Like you have to hold your appointment with at least like half of the money or like at least 20 or 30%.
Yeah, and they do it because no-shows cost you a fortune. That's the other reason I'm willing to pre-book you, because if Miss Harper pays for this massage and the next one, that money's already in the books. That's really helpful. And when people no-show their appointments and there's no money on the book, you just lost that hour. Yeah. Miss Petrie.
I think that concept works out really well, especially with massage therapists, because first of all, you don't know if they're going to show up or not. And secondly, what if they're antsy or make you uncomfortable or you have to kick them out? At least you got paid up front.
Yeah. I also like the idea that you have their credit card information, which helps you identify them, right?
Absolutely.
I could easily see telling people, like, especially if I charge $100 an hour, telling people like, yeah, I'd be happy to book that appointment for you. There's a $25 booking fee that we, of course, apply to your massage when you come. But if you don't come, we take the booking fee. So if you don't cancel with 24 hours notice or whatever, we keep the $25. So I at least get something so you've got some skin in the game. That's not an unreasonable thing to do. I know for our clinics here, which I hope that we will do in May, that's the intention at least, our clinics here, we used to offer, what was it? This is a great example. We used to offer $20 massages, and you would sign up online. You put no money down. You'd sign up online, and people would sign up for like 10 of them, right? Because they're $20 massages, right? I would honestly say that we had like a 10% to maybe even 30% no-show rate. They've booked 9 appointments. They haven't paid for any of them. They just no-show us. I used to have to call people and be like, Miss Petrie, if you no-show us again, I'm not going to let you book anymore. I mean, I try to be nice about it, but I was like, you're killing us here. I got students standing around that need to practice, and you're no-showing us. So that was $20 a massage. Okay? This just gives you an idea of kind of how to think about some of these business situations. We get 10 to 30% no-shows. We switched to, this is how we do it now, to $10 massages. We dropped the rate in half, but you have to prepay. And there's no cancellation, no refund, no matter what. So we made them dirt cheap, $10 for a 1-hour massage, but we said, hey, sorry, death in the family. Not that we don't care, you eat the $10. If you want to give the ticket to somebody else, your sister, your brother, a stranger walking down the street, they can use the ticket. We don't care if you transfer it, but you bought that time, you bought that slot on Tuesday, the 3rd, 12 o'clock. And by the way, most people book 2 hours. They still do, but they prepaid the $20. I never process a refund. There is no such thing. Boom. And guess what? We made more money with this way. We cut the price in half and we made more money. because our no-shows went down to less than 1%. And we didn't refund those. So we booked up everything and we got all the money. Whereas before we didn't quite book up everything and we lost a lot of money. So, yes, go ahead, Ms. Torres.
It also, when you do that, it also shows that your time is important. So, like when my girl's like, well, you need to pay me before you come and get my hair to get the haircut. I'm like, okay, I see it. I see. That shows that you're busy. And if I'm not willing to, somebody else is gonna go. So yeah, I'm gonna do it. Like I want a haircut from you, so I know you're gonna use that money, for like like the total of the session. So yeah, I'm gonna do it, and I have to go now.
Yeah. No, I love what you said. I agree. For us, you got people that put skin in the game. It's like, do you really want to do business with us? And this is how you do it. Now, by the way, you guys all might play this game differently as a new massage therapist than you are a heavily booked massage therapist. And somewhere in between, you got to be kind of careful, right? So as a new massage therapist, I was willing to bend a little bit more and stuff, but you still don't want people to not care and no-show your appointments all the time. So, and if you have somebody who's no-showing you all the time, I would be like, hey, Bill, I love it when you come. I really do. I don't want to lose your business, but I've got to charge you for massages before you show up because you no-show them all the time, and there's other clients that really want those slots, whether Bill's my only client or not, and get him to prepay. Yeah, Miss Petrie.
I completely agree that it definitely shows that your time is valuable and it means something, not just you, but you're showing them it should mean something to you as well.
Yeah.
And it also, I think it makes you seem like you're really advanced on your level is what it makes it seem to me, that if somebody's making me pay up front, I'm like, oh, you're really that good. Like that's my first thought.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, you want to be, like, kind of, like, strict with that stuff, but really warm and friendly, too. Like, I'd love to have your business, but I'm kind of busy, so got to prepay for the slot. I will tell you a very weird thing happened to me in massage that I never would have thought would have happened. When I got out of school first, I did out calls. I would come to your house. You got to understand, I was a male massage therapist 26 years ago, and there weren't a lot of male massage therapists. And getting somebody to let me into their house and massage them was a challenge already. I would come to your house and do a massage for 20 bucks. Now, I didn't make any money off this. I drove all over town, did $20 massages, but I started to build up clients, right? And it was just a way to kind of practice, because one of the things I need to do is practice. When I went to school back then, it was 500 hours. You hardly knew any massage. When you graduated, you hardly knew anything. And so I needed practice. Anyway, when I upped my prices, finally I got some clients. I was getting pretty busy. Anytime you're super busy, by the way, up your prices. Because you've maxed out your client list, you might as well up your prices. If you don't have more time, you want more money. So I went up to 40 bucks, I doubled it. And I lost half my clients. Half of them. Because a lot of them were like, yeah, it was great for 20 bucks, but I'm not paying more than that for massage. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I still made the same amount of money, by the way, because half at double the rate is the same, and then I built it back up again. The interesting thing was I kept the better clients because those were the ones that thought I was worth 40 bucks. The really interesting thing is when I went to $100, which, by the way, there were steps. I went to 60, 80. When I went to $100, strangely enough, in some ways, my clients were easier. Now, they expected value for their 100 bucks, but those were clients that thought I was worth 100 bucks. The clients that thought I was worth 20 bucks, some of them were kind of a pain. Right? They didn't think I was any better than anybody else. They didn't care. It was just a value. The clients that paid 100 bucks thought I walked on water, and those are the clients you want. So strangely enough, sometimes making people pre-book, making them prepay, charging a good value for your thing makes them value you more and make sure that the clients you have really do like you. So sometimes going cheap is not the way to go. That's why I don't like discounted stuff, really, for that reason. Okay. Good stuff. Miss Petrie, did you still have your hand raised just because you had it raised? Cool. I just want to make sure I wasn't ignoring you. Anybody else?
One more question.
Yeah, please, Ms.
Sorry,
Torres.
one more question. Do you give discounts to your family?
Yeah.
Or how do you deal
Yeah.
with the family?
I'm sorry. I said that whole thing about no discounts, but I do discount my family. This does not include my mother. My mother gets massage. She doesn't live out here, and she can have massage anytime she wants. I love my mother. Right?
I love it.
So, you know, I mean, there are some limits to even that kind of stuff. But I've got some really close friends. Or Miss Petrie and I have known each other like 10 years. I mean, we're pretty close. I consider us pretty close. But even if Miss Petrie wanted a massage, I would charge her something. And the reason I do that is so she kind of values my time. And also so I don't walk away feeling tired and like I don't have any money in my pocket. So one of my rules of thumb is, and I'm talking about close family, close friends, $20. I at least want $20. I always want to walk away with $20 in my pocket. I know it sounds weird that I charge some people $100, but that way, like, okay, it's my best friend in the world, still $20. Because I want to go buy a beer afterwards. I want to go do something. I want $20 in my pocket. And that way my friend also is like, if it doesn't cost anything, it's unlimited. Why not come over every day and get a massage? You know? So I really like charge family members, everybody. Charge them all. Charge your husbands, by the way. If you don't want $20, tell them, you got to take me out to dinner. You want a massage? I'll give you a 2-hour massage. You're taking me out to dinner afterwards. You know, at least do something kind of fun like that. That kind of stuff. Miss Petrie.
My parents, they want massages. They just get them. I mean, I don't have a huge family either. So, not that I'm really close with. I don't have a huge family I'm really close
No,
with.
I know
So, I just have my immediate family, which is my parents and then my brother and his wife.
Right.
And so, if they want massages, I'm just going to give them massages. But for friends and stuff, bargaining,
Yeah.
trades, things like that, if they have something that I can benefit from, I mean, trading is the best way to go with them as well, because then you don't feel bad about charging them. You're like, hey, if I give you this hour-and-a-half massage, can you build this for me?
Oh yeah, that does
Can you
happen.
do that for me, or can you do my hair, or whatever it is.
Yeah, many massage therapists barter their services with other people. That is true. I have also, by the way, many massage therapists trade massage with each other. And I knew a massage therapist did something kind of cool I really actually liked. Is we were going to trade, and they said, I'm going to just pay you, it was $60 at the time, $60 for your massage. When you get yours from me, you can pay me back $60. I was like, but we're going to trade. Why even bother changing money? And they said, that way, if you don't come get your massage or whatever, there's no hard feelings. I'm paying you for your stuff. You're paying me for my stuff. We're going to set the same rate, so it actually ends up being a trade. But that way, there's no hard feelings, too. So some people barter, some people work out all sorts of stuff. Yeah, you'll be surprised what you can do with your massage stuff. And I'm kidding about charging your husbands. You got to kind of decide who. But I do like friends and family rate. I really do like even my close people. Besides my mom and my girlfriend, I kind of like, yeah, give me $20. Come on, I'm standing for an hour. You know, just as a nice thing. You know, if I asked you to come over and help me move for an hour, I'd be buying you pizza and beer and things like that, right? I mean, come on, like there would be something going on there. So I think it's very helpful. I actually think it helps preserve the relationships. Anything else? Friends and family rates. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, everybody, we actually have to talk about adductor muscles of the hip today. About upselling a massage, by the way, is that your clients want to upsell. If they have the money, I've had clients tell me if I had the money, I would get massage every day. If anybody knows who Bob Hope is, he lived to be like 100. And he had his own massage therapist travel with him. He got a massage every single day for like, 30 years of his life or something ridiculous. Every single day. That's the job I want. Sounds good. Okay. Let me, do we have any questions before we get started? Before we talk about the inner thigh muscles. Inner thigh muscles. Yes, actually, Miss Hunter, when I went to Thailand, I got massage every day. It was like $10 an hour. It was, it was worth it. They were awesome. That was awesome. Yeah, I got massaged every day there. My mom and I did. She was with me. Yeah, it was great. Okay, let me present now and share my screen. Just so you know what we're looking at. Miss Petrie, what are the five adductor muscles, hip adductor muscles?
What are the 5 adductor muscles?
Yep, hip adductor muscles.
The adductor magnus longus, adductor brevis, the gracilis, and the pectineus.
Fantastic. Good job, Miss Petrie.
Okay.
Miss Torres, where are my 5 adductors found? What region, what location? How would you describe where my 5 adductors are found? All 5 of them together. Where are they found?
So they are found in the medial thigh?
Yes, I love that. Medial compartment, medial thigh, any of that, thank you. That's exactly where they're found. That's exactly the answer I wanted. Unlike the quads that are found in the anterior and lateral, unlike the hamstrings that are found in the posterior, these are found in the middle thigh, medial thigh, not middle, medial thigh. And that's exactly where they're found. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Miss Hunter, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening very carefully when I listened to Miss Petrie. What are the 5 adductors, Miss Hunter?
Adductor brevis, adductor magnus, gracilis. Oh my god. Pectineus. I don't know the 5th one.
Well, you said adductor magnus and adductor brevis. Is there another adductor?
Probably. I don't know the name of it.
Well, you just take a long time to decide, okay?
Adductor longus.
Yeah, that's it. Good job. Thank you, Miss Hunter.
Thanks.
Miss Hanson. How many adductors cross over the hip and the knee? They all cross over the hip, by the way. They have to, otherwise they can't adduct the hip. But how many of them cross over the hip and the knee?
Is it 1 or 2? The longus and the gracilis?
No, but I like how you're thinking. It's just 1, the gracilis.
Oh, the
That was good, though. I like where your thought process, because I'm assuming you thought longus might get all the way down there. Strangely, the gracilis is longer than the longus, which is very annoying. Very cool. Cool. Thank you. Miss Cooper. Miss Cooper, are you there, Miss Cooper? Usually you come flying back into the screen when I call your name. Miss Cooper. I'm coming back to you. Better not have fallen asleep in this riveting conversation. Mr. Kandaris, sir, what are the muscles that are found in the medial compartment of the thigh?
The adductors.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Miss Stanley, what are the names of the 5 adductors found in the medial compartment of the thigh?
Adductor magnus, adductor longus, adductor brevis, gracilis, and pectineus.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. Miss Felix Osuna, which adductors cross over 2 joints? Hip and knee. Just gracilis. Brevis definitely doesn't. Oh, sorry. Just gracilis. Cool. All right. Miss Nguyen. Hi, Miss Nguyen.
Yeah.
What are the names of the 5 hip adductors? We can say them together too if you need to.
Okay. I think the abductor is the better.
Wait, hold on one second. You said abductor. Don't say abductor because that sounds like abductor. Say adductor.
Oh, adductor. Adductor brevis and adductor longus. Adductor in the
longus.
Yeah, good.
And pectineus.
Yeah, pectineus, yep.
Yeah, and English.
Gracilis. You are one impressive young lady, Miss Nguyen. Yeah, thank you very much. Good job.
But I read in the email. I read the email and for the extension C for next. I say with you, yeah, I do.
Yeah, I saw it. Thank you. Okay. All right. Miss Montreal, which you like tricky questions. Here's a question that has no right answer. Miss Montreal,
Yes.
which adductors can affect knee function? Knee function.
Would it be gracilis?
Yeah, so gracilis is the obvious answer, and it's the answer I want everybody to give. I don't mean it like, oh, that's the obvious. I just meant like, yes, because gracilis is the one that crosses over the knee. So if you're having knee problems, gracilis should go instantly to you, right? Could you make an argument for other ones for different reasons?
Wait, for the adductors though? That's what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, for the adductors.
On whether they cross the knee or not, or what
Yeah.
is the argument?
No, that could affect the knee. Could affect the knee.
Okay, that could affect the knee.
In a bad way.
Okay. How about, so I wouldn't say brevis. I wouldn't say, I want to say that I wouldn't say magnus, because
Okay.
that's more posterior.
Okay.
So, is it longus?
Sure. It's not an easy question. Let's explore it together. All right, everybody. We're looking at somebody from the front here, or the back. It doesn't matter, but not the side. We're looking at somebody from the front here. Here's their hips. That's their femur. Right? This is their knee. These are the legs coming down. Now, when I said which adductors could affect the knee, Miss Montreal correctly said the gracilis, right? Gracilis. Because it goes across the knee, and it's the only one that goes across the knee. That should be, that's a standard answer. That would be a very correct answer. But, if the pectineus, brevis, longus, and magnus were tight above the knee on one side, could that affect the knees? Why, Ms. Shanas? I see you nodding, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate you having your camera on, so I don't mean to call you out, but why are you nodding?
Because it's already affecting, like, you know, like your tilt of your hips. So when you're walking, it's going to change your knee. Do you know what I'm saying?
Heck yeah, I do. So, I love what you're saying. So let's look at this really quick, everybody, just to give you a thought. If my adductors are tight on one side, even if they don't cross over the knee, these would be tight, right? And they're loose on this side. My knees are definitely not even. Like, that's going to mess. It's actually going to make this knee want to break in, believe it or not. And this knee want to break out. But you don't have to remember that. That doesn't matter. My point is, yes, lateral tilt could affect the knees, because now you got force coming down on the knees in very weird ways, right? You're actually creating the kind of lateral force that blows out people's knees because the hips are off. So adductors could have something to do with knee health even, let alone spine health, right? Because you could create scoliosis that's not supposed to be there. Because when this person's leaning like this, by the way, can their spine go straight up anymore? No. Their spine now needs to curve over here to get back, to get your head up above your thing. So if my hips are off, look what my head does, in fact. It has to go that way. Has to. If my hips go this way, my head has to go that way. Yes, Miss Montreal. Miss Monreal, I thought you had your hand up for a second at least.
Sorry, I did. I was talking. I always forget to turn my mic on.
That's okay.
So if those adductors are pulling on the femur, so is that going to give you like a lateral rotation of the hip where it's going to pull in like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, lateral elevations, I think they usually call them. Lateral tilts. Lateral tilts.
Well, okay.
Because
like,
the femur's not going to probably move. So what's going to happen is the hip's going to move.
Okay, so you know how people walk a little pigeon
And actually,
toed?
by the way, I drew this wrong. Sorry. It's horrible. This is the one short over here. Because it pulled it that way. But anyway, yes. People walk a little pigeon-toed, yes.
But you know how their thighs kind of like roll in. You know what I mean? Would that be because of something like that? I mean, you know how I'm saying how people's thighs kind of turn in?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, no, some of your adductors help with medial rotation. That can affect that. Some other weird things happen too. I didn't get to this today. I don't really want to get into it yet. But it has to do with anterior and posterior tilt. And actually, medial rotation causes anterior tilt. And lateral rotation of your feet kind of causes some posterior tilt. We'll get into that later, I promise. Okay, let's go on and look at some actions here. I don't mean, by the way, to short circuit your question either. It's just I feel like it's a long thing, and I want to get through some of the adductors here too. Just really quickly. Adductors are found in the medial compartment of your leg. Forget about all this stuff. Here they are. Here they are. On the left-hand side of the slide is a front view of the body. This is an anterior view. You're looking at somebody like this, like you're looking at me. Look how hard it is to see much of the adductor magnus from a front view. They've labeled it there, but you can't see very much of it. That's because the adductor magnus is in the medial compartment with the other stuff, but it's in back. This is important to know. You know, you're a three-dimensional person, so yes, all your adductors are in the middle of your thigh, but the adductor magnus is in back in the middle of the thigh. The brevis, longus, pectineus, and gracilis are in front of it. They actually sit on the adductor magnus. So when you're rubbing the back of somebody's legs and you're hitting their hamstrings, you're also hitting their adductor magnus. And look at the side view here, you can kind of see that. From the side view here, we can also see how the gracilis is actually the longest adductor and crosses over the knee. Miss Cooper, are you there? Okay. All right. Miss Moore. Miss Moore? I feel like I'm... Are you there? Miss Moore? You guys are killing me. I'm batting... Miss Stanley.
Hello.
Hello. Which adductor crosses over the knee?
It is the gracilis.
The gracilis and only the gracilis. Just looking at this picture, just what would you guess are the actions of the gracilis?
To flex the knee?
Yeah, it's an adductor. Its main purpose is to pull the legs together, but it could cause a flexion of the knee because it kind of wraps around and back. It also grabs on the front of the pelvis, so it's possible that it could create a little bit of a medial rotation. I think we're going to find. I honestly don't remember. I'm looking at the picture and just that's how I remember my actions. So flexion of the knee, even though that's not its job, everybody, your hamstring's job is to flex your knee, but it could help. It's an adductor, of course, and it also might have to do with some medial rotation. So it's very important to hip alignment, knee alignment, all sorts of stuff. It's of all five adductors, I think it's one of the most important. Can we also see that because the adductor is somewhere in back, like the magnus might have a little bit to do with posterior tilt, and some of the ones in front might have a little bit to do with anterior tilt. Cool. I love that I'm seeing some nods. Thank you. Just from their position. because the magnus is almost becoming a hamstring. And some of the other stuff is almost becoming a hip flexor in front. Their main job is still to do these things. But it's just like my main job might be a teacher, but I might do a little massage on the side, or do a little housework, or do whatever, right? But all muscles have a main job and some secondary jobs. Looks like a harness for bones. You're right. Well said. All right, Miss Moore, are you there? Miss Cooper? You guys are. Oh, Miss Cooper! Miss Cooper, I've been calling on you. Did you fall asleep?
What?
Yeah, I thought you did. All right, Miss Cooper. Well, welcome back.
No, I didn't fall asleep. I went pee, dog.
Yeah?
Sorry.
It was a long pee. So,
But anyways, are you asking me a question right now?
yeah?
So what is it?
Very feisty. No, don't be sorry. You're allowed to be a little feisty. I like it. What is the adductor that crosses over the knee?
Gracilis
Yes. What actions do you suppose gracilis might cause?
flexes the knee.
Yes. All right. Miss Petrie, you have your hand up?
Did you say that the gracilis would also medially rotate? Is that what you said?
Well, let me be very honest. Where are they going down? I don't understand. I'm very confused. Okay, sorry. I have students leaving now from the first class. And I was
okay.
For me looking at this picture, Miss Petrie, what's another thing? Oh, actually, I lied. No, laterally, right? Because it's going to grab the inside of the leg and laterally rotate.
Oh, okay.
I did say medial. Miss Petrie, I said medial. I was wrong. I wasn't thinking. I think it would laterally rotate the leg for sure because it actually grabs kind of underneath the leg and would kind of pull it out.
Okay.
This makes me very happy and sad right now. I'm very sad because I said something very stupid, but I'm very happy because you guys are now actually applying actions without even knowing them. Good job. Good catch.
So would it be laterally, would it be laterally rotating the knee? Or is it laterally rotating the leg all, like a...
I think they call it a lateral rotation of the hip because that's what's going to turn out.
Okay.
Or the thigh. Let's take a look at the actions on these really quick so that we can talk about them and see if I'm right. All right, so they're all medially found. All these muscles are found on your inner thigh. All these muscles rub together when you walk down the street, right? These are the things that wear out your corduroys, which you guys probably don't even know what corduroys are. But these are your adductors. But the magnus is found most posterior. It's found in the back middle part of my leg, not the front middle part of my leg, okay? And it's huge. Look how big it is. This is just a picture of the magnus. This is just a picture of the magnus. It's called the magnus for a reason. It even has a hole in it. When you take a break from something, by the way, we say you're going to take a hiatus. It has the adductor hiatus, which is a hole in it for veins and arteries to go through inside your thigh because they've got to get from front to back. And so there's actually a hole in it because this muscle's so big they got to go through somewhere. It's called the adductor hiatus. Yeah? And let's see if they give us actions on this. I don't want the whole group. Sorry, hold on everybody. What about magnus? No? They have, but they don't have actions on the magnus? Definitely actions of the magnus are to, I thought they would have put it separately. Definitely actions of the magnus are to adduct your legs, to pull them together. The magnus also surprisingly hooks to the what do I want to say? The ischial tuberosity like your hamstrings do. Thank you, that's what I was trying to say. So it hooks way up there behind you. So when you run up the back of somebody's legs, you're probably rubbing their hamstrings and their adductor magnus. And that's about all it does. It's a powerful, powerful hip adductor. Yeah? We will see with some of the other, why don't they have actions in here? Well, I'm not too concerned. I just thought we had actions in here. I'm sorry, buddy. Never mind. Let's go back.
I think the actions were all at the beginning.
They were all, the actions were too? She's so nice, just like.
Yeah, that's the way it is in the book. Right there.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So they all adduct. It says they all medially rotate. Some of the fibers of all of them would medially rotate. And some of the back fibers of the adductor magnus can extend to the hip because it's back there with the hamstrings. Don't sit there and memorize all that. Just remember, because they can medially rotate, when people are pigeon-toed, they might have tight adductors. Right? So it's something to kind of remember there. Because they can medially rotate the thigh. So it's just something good to remember, like, if I have somebody who's medially rotated, they might have tight adductors. The other thing is, I'll have to show you this on the skeleton, but it helps me kind of remember where they're attached. Hold on, let me see if I can get to a good picture of this. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Just show you some stuff. All right. This is more so you can find them. I don't care, by the way, about you individually distinguishing all of them that much, but I care about you kind of understanding where in the body they are. The pectineus is way up high. Oh, we're going to need this camera down. Tell you what, I'm going to bring this camera down. I'm going to stop sharing so you can see me. Boom. Good. Okay. So, you've got this hip bone, the pubis and the ischium come together and they make a circle down here. And this circle is fascinating because the back of the circle, your hamstrings hook to, and your magnus, your adductor magnus, and the front of this circle, your adductors hook to. Almost exclusively, right? So like, your pectineus grabs onto what's called the superior arm of the pubis. It's like this, kind of, right? And the adductor brevis kind of hooks on like that. And the adductor longus kind of hooks on like that. All this is really off the pubis in one place or another. The gracilis still grabs onto here, but even further down, but it's all in this kind of pubic bone. And then the magnus, just for visual, it's true though, the magnus likes to grab onto lots of this ischium bone back here. So it grabs onto stuff back here, it grabs onto stuff in the middle, stuff like that. So hopefully you should see lots of blue behind this red. So when you rub somebody's inner thigh, you're hitting all of these. When you rub them from the front, you're probably only hitting 4 of the adductors. When you rub them from the back, you're only hitting the magnus. But when you rub them from the middle, you're hitting all of them. But just so you know, when I'm rubbing up here, I'm rubbing hamstrings and the magnus, because the magnus actually attaches to where the hamstrings go to. The hamstrings, this is the back side of the body, posterior side. Hamstrings are back here too, really. Going down like this. Here's the short head. Down like that. When I lie, the gracilis actually comes back behind here like that. So, I think we're starting to see lots of Lots of overlap with muscles now. And by the way, this place on the inside in here, that's your mismome real. That's your pes anserinus. It's where the gracilis hooks in with the semimembranosus, and the sartorius is going to come from the front later. But just to give you an idea, hamstrings and adductor magnus are all back here, which is why I say when you're rubbing somebody, rub until you hit this bone. Because this bone is the attachment for 3 hamstrings and your largest adductor. You want to be getting all the way up there. Some people only rub like right here. Get up in there. Yeah? Cool. That's just a general overview of kind of how to think about them and how to rub them. So when you're rubbing, when you frog somebody's leg out and you rub their inner thigh, you're getting all of the adductors. When you're on their posterior side, you're getting hamstrings and the magnus. When you're on their front side, you're getting quads and adductor brevis, longus, gracilis, and pectineus because of how they lay on each other. Does that kind of make sense? Kind of? Okay, I'm getting this kind of, yeah. I just want you to know where they're located, basically. They all adduct the hip. They can have some of the fibers, can have something to do with medial rotation on all of them. And the gracilis can even affect the knee and crosses over the knee. That's, honestly, the highlights of what to know about them. I do have a test for you guys to take that's going to ask you some nitpicky points about where they insert and things like that, which is good to at least be familiar with. But the important stuff to know is if one side of your adductors is tight, what kind of tilt will it create? If one side of your adductors is tight, what kind of tilt will it create? And Ms. Giannis can't answer because she already answered this correctly. She was almost one of the only people to answer this correctly in the homework. Lateral is right, Ms. Cooper. It creates a lateral tip of the hilt. Tilt of the hip. Yes. If one side is pulling down, right? So whereas my hip flexors and extensors cause anterior and posterior tilt, adductors cause lateral tilt to one side or the other. I mean, that's like something to stick up in your head. Adductors can do this, and they can also cause some pigeon toe, but they can do my lateral tilt problems. My flexors and extensors can cause anterior and posterior tilt problems. All of these are problems for my darn spine. Because it's got to figure out what to do once my hip gets off balance, right? Cool. Okay.